Welcome back to the Human Narrative Podcast, my friends. This is your host, Clark, and this is a subscriber-only episode. And if you're listening to this, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for being a member of the Human Narrative Podcast and for giving me the chance to speak to you more directly and hopefully on a deeper level than the podcast itself allows. I'm honored that you want to hear from me more often than my weekly episodes and in a raw and unedited version and based on life as I know it and as I'm experiencing it, so that I can find some real-time inspiration that I can maybe use to hopefully pass on some wisdom to you, whoever you are, wherever you are. And this week is Father's Day. Well, it's Father's Day weekend of 2024. And I'm currently by myself, soon to go see my boy, who I have 50-50 custody with his mother. And, I make the most of the time that I have with my son because I only have him half the week, which is part of my journey. It's not quite where I saw my life when I was younger, because if you don't know my story at all, I'm 44. I got divorced about 6 or 7 years ago in 2018, 2019, when it all kind of went down. And the largest sacrifice in all of that was the fact that I would need to walk away from my son and full custody and being in his life on a daily basis. But it was part of my journey. It is part of my journey. And it's a sacrifice that allows me to work on myself and be a fuller version of myself for him, which is also why I got sober in 2017 and stopped drinking alcohol. And what this has to do for you. I guess I've already brought up the word sacrifice. This word sacrifice has been coming up a lot in conversations with people that I've been meeting through life, who've been brought into my life through ways that I couldn't control. And the word sacrifice has been coming up over and over and over. And I think that maybe a lot of people look at the word sacrifice as a negative word. Oh, I have to sacrifice this, or I have to sacrifice that. I mean, back in the biblical times, the word sacrifice literally meant that something would be killed to honor a god. It's not even biblical. It's just there were times where sacrifices were made to please the gods. Now, I don't understand that mentality myself, but obviously people do interesting things for deities that they believe in. But nowadays, what is it that we have to sacrifice? And why do we have to sacrifice? Obviously, sacrificing things hurts. It forces us to give up maybe our needs, our wants, our dreams. And that can be healthy in a way if those needs, wants, dreams are selfish, let's say. But also, sacrificing something is a great way to kill your ego, to die to yourself a little bit, or to die to a version of yourself maybe that you thought is who you would be or who you're meant to be. And by sacrificing something, you're forced to start looking at life in a different way. You're forced to change your perspective and how you live your life. And it's interesting because I had a conversation just yesterday with a guy named Jay, a friend, which his episode will be coming out soon. And he starts the conversation off with saying that our perspective is either our power or our prison. And that is such a powerful concept in terms of maybe facing dilemmas, decisions around sacrifices that need to be made in our life in order to hopefully make our life better. And so my challenge to you today, I guess this is now turning into not just me imparting hopefully some wisdom to you, but maybe some food for thought in these one-on-one subscriber episodes where I can maybe challenge you a little bit to change your perspective. How is life challenging you right now? Are you being forced to make sacrifices that you never expected that you would have to make? Instead of looking at those sacrifices as a negative, as something that's maybe taking away from your life or something that you're losing, how can you use those sacrifices to grow, to become more, to become stronger, to become more fearless, to get out of your own way, to maybe realize that your ego is calling the shots and trying to dictate your life. And by the way, if you don't know what the ego is and you haven't heard any of my episodes about the ego, or you've not read any books that talk about the ego is the part of us that wants to keep us stuck. It wants us to be miserable, unhappy. It wants us to be in conflict. It wants us to be railing against the machine, whatever the machine is. That's what the ego is. It's not your self-confidence. It's not how you feel about yourself. It is that part of you that wants you to be lost. And it was a part of me that kept me in alcoholism for 13 years. And so maybe whatever sacrifice or sacrifices that you are currently facing, what if those are forcing you to kill your ego? I mean, I guess you can't really actually kill your ego because it's always going to be there. You're always going to have to navigate life with your ego trying to raise its hand or rear up its ugly head. But what can you do to take the power away from your ego in this moment based on a sacrifice that you are currently having to face? So, a little food for thought. I hope that's helpful. I don't know if it is, but oftentimes food for thought forces us to contemplate and to reflect on our life and maybe, like we already said, change our perspective on the current situation. But there you go, my friends. Just a few minutes of you and me one-on-one based on things that I've been presented with this week, that I've been contemplating and thinking about, and I wanted to pass on to you so that you too can learn and grow and live the life that you are meant to live. Thanks for your time. I appreciate you listening to this unedited, raw, subscriber-only version, and I really appreciate you just being a subscriber in general. Thank you for your support. And, if you're able to say hi, leave comments, let me know your thoughts, give me some topics to talk about that would help you, please leave a comment, say hi, reach out to me however you can. But I appreciate you, and I appreciate your time, and I can't wait to talk to you really soon. Thanks for listening to the Human Narrative Podcast. I'm Clark, and I'll talk to you really soon. Bye.